Welcome to the Mid-Atlantic Bad Takes. Shouting loud, no time for breaks. Feel the fire, the pulse, the stakes. This is where the world shakes. Welcome to the Mid-Atlantic Bad Takes.
We're lucky enough to have Mr. Bud Norris here, our first MLB player interview on the Mid-Atlantic Bad Takes podcast. Mr. Norris, awesome to have you joining us.
Taylor, thanks for having me, man. Love chatting with everybody and excited to hear about the Orioles and talk shop about my time in Baltimore.
Yeah, awesome. So, our first question. So, I think it's fair to say 2011 was kind of your breakout year with the Astros.
Yes, fair to say.
Awesome. So, at that time, because I know the Astros were kind of entering like the Astro Ball era a little bit.
Okay.
Did you ever feel like a trade was possible during that season or afterwards?
Good question. It's hard to speculate. And the first thing you got to realize as a player is your job is not to play general manager. Your job is to go out there and pitch every 5 days or when the team asks you to go out there. So I didn't want to think too far down the road, and I didn't want to speculate too much. I just wanted to kind of like keep my head on straight and focus on what I could control, which was pitching every 5th day. But as everything that was happening around me, it was easy to see that there was a lot going on, and I was under the impression, and the guidance from my agent, I had a bigger picture, and I could see it from a macro level. But truly, it was like this: they were going to sell the team. They were trading a lot of guys around me, and a lot of things were moving around. So I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know when it could potentially happen, and obviously it didn't happen until 2013. But that being said, 2011, 2012, 2013 was a trying time, and I didn't know. So again, I didn't want to play GM. I thought that it could happen, but again, it didn't happen until it happened. And when it happened, it was probably for the best.
Yeah. So I don't know how aware you're of this, but 2011, you actually came on the Orioles' radar. You were actually a name circulating around Baltimore about a possible trade because, I mean, I don't know how well you know the Orioles, but after Mike Messina, we could not develop a starting pitcher. I mean, Eric Bedard, and we traded him. But, I mean, luckily out of that trade, we got Tillman and Adam Jones, that's a good deal on our end. We would take that any day.
Absolutely.
But it was a dry spell for a while. So, 2013, you were one of my personal favorite trades to the Orioles because you came on my radar too then. So that 2012, 2013, what were your differences? Because I know the Astros went to the American League in 2013, and the pitchers were still hitting in the National League until then. So besides that, what were your big differences from 2012 to 13?
I mean, I think every year you're learning something. Baseball is not an exact science. There's no exact way to have a good year, bad year, or a good start, and whatnot. So I was still learning myself. But from this transition from the NL to the AL was really the first thing for me was to slow the game down. In the National League, things can pick up on you a little bit more hit and run. You got to be a little bit more careful of defensive shifts and a lot of things of that nature. But end of the day, for me, is again focusing on what I needed to get better at. I really started to utilize my two-seam fastball a whole lot more through at-bats and earlier in games, because before, when I first came into the league, I was really dominant with my four-seam and my slider, and those were my go-tos, but I didn't utilize my other stuff enough. And as you're trying to find that balance and that pitch arsenal and pitch selection, you really got to show American League hitters, especially if you're going to get through the lineup 3 times, that you got multiple weapons and you're not going to just continue to go back to a 2-pitch mix. So I kind of learned, through the curve of the middle of my career that, two-seam was going to be a big pitch for me. I really started to implement the cutter even a little bit more at the back end of my starting days there. And then the changeup was the last pitch that I never felt that I was a strong pitch for me. But again, I still had to show it from time to time. And truly, I remember a couple catchers saying that to me along my time, whether one being in Houston, being the manager of the Rays, Kevin Cash, is like, Bud, you got a power changeup. It's not a bad changeup. It's just a power changeup. You got to just utilize it differently. And Wieters also gave me the confidence when I got to Baltimore. Like, no, man, it's a good pitch. You just, again, you got to mix and pick and choose when you use it a little bit more strategically. And again, so you're always trying to refine your own skill set. You're really trying to refine your pitches and try to add another layer to your bag of tricks. And I think once I realized that I couldn't be just a 2-pitch mix and implementing the 2-seamer and the cutter, obviously the pitch arsenal got a little bit better, and my pitches, my mix got better.
Awesome. So 2013, big trade happens. Baltimore trades LJ Hose, Josh Hader, who went on to become a big time closer. No one was expecting that. I mean, he was Justin Delmarva, which was very low A ball in the Orioles organization then for Mr. Bud Norris. So what were like the big differences you saw as soon as you got to Baltimore?
I mean, AL East, it's every night. It's big lights. It's in my opinion, it was definitely the best division in baseball because it's been around the longest and the history is there. And you have such a great pride when you put on that Orioles uniform and know that you're playing for the city and the history and the legacy of what it is. So I absolutely, my skin crawls still thinking about my time playing the East and winning the division in 14. But that being said, playing in Baltimore and the American League East is everything you can ask for. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the NL Central, nothing wrong with the NL West, nothing wrong with the AL West, but truly the baseball was around the AL East. And again, as you know, the history's there. And I just love being, in the limelight every night. We're the first division, the Red Sox, Yankees rivalries, ours with the Toronto, whatever it may be. The AL East gets a lot of, limelight on it. And that's the way I love to see it.
Awesome. So what was kind of like the first things Buck Showalter kind of told you, and what were your impressions of him when you first got
it's actually, I got a funny story. I mean, I got traded at the deadline, really like the 25th hour. Got traded. I was a visiting player with Houston, but we were playing the Orioles in town. We had a rain delay, so I didn't even make a start, but I did start the next game against Jordan Lyles and got the win. But I remember when I was leaving, I was on the Astros team bus going to the stadium, got the call from Jeff Luna, say, you've been traded to the Orioles. Thanks for your time in Houston. Went to the visiting locker rooms. I ran in Bo Porter's office for a couple minutes. He was distraught. I'm going to miss you. Best of luck. You've been great. Thank you. And said goodbye to a couple teammates. And then I literally, Houston's guys, I went across the clubhouse into the home clubhouse, and the Orioles were taking batting practice. So obviously I threw my shorts on, wanted to go meet a couple guys. And the club is like, hey, go talk to Buck. He's out in center field, kind of behind the screen. So first throw my shorts, run out there. Hey, Buck, how are you? And kind of just, Buck being Buck, he kind of puts his hand on his chin and he just kind of goes, well, the way I see it, you've had 5 days off. Do you want to pitch tomorrow night against Houston, or do you want to go in 3 days against Seattle? I was like, dude, I'm fresh. I'm ready to go. I know that lineup. I'm happy to pitch tomorrow. And obviously got to pitch the next day. So Buck was great. He's a professional. Again, there's no better manager at 7 o'clock. Like, that's the guy you want. He's going to manage the game and the people and everything around him the best that he can for that game and for the future too, because he knows how to plan a series and plan a season and play the marathon race. So I really enjoyed Buck. Again, it was business when we got there. When it was 7:05, it was turn it on, but the rest of the time, it was about being a good guy and a good teammate and being part of the family. And that's kind of the family we did create for those years that I was there.
Awesome. So, I mean, all the Buck Showalter stories. I mean, Caleb Joseph had a good one where he said, if you can't catch, I'm just going to send you back down because you're worthless to me if you can't catch. So, I mean, Buck always emphasized the defense. And, I mean, when you got there, we had prime J.J. Hardy, prime Nick Markakis, prime Adam Jones, all Gold Glove winners. Chris Davis was
Manny Machado still
Manny
playing.
Machado, like Davis at first. We had a really tremendous defense. So did you feel like more extra confident, especially because we had a bullpen too? We had weapons in the bullpen where even if you didn't have your best stuff, you could say, if I can just get through 5 or 6 innings and 3 runs, that's a good way to put my team in a chance to win.
Taylor, you hit the nail on the head, man. I mean, again, in Houston, I had no luxury. I had no margin of error. I gave up 1 run, 2 runs. It was a 90% chance that game was over. And that was a tough environment to pitch in for all those years. But then, again, my agent and my sports psych and the people I talked to are like, hey, think about this. Exactly what you said. You got a great defense, incredible lineup. Go out there, give your 110, 20 pitch as deep as you can in the ball game. But if you give up 2, 3, 4, there's a good chance these guys come back and somebody, blasts off for a 3-run homer in the 5th. So stay in the game, compete, and good things will happen. And that's exactly what happened. That defense was stellar. I mean, Manny had a platinum glove over there. JJ and, every day at second. I had B-Rob when I got there first too. And Flaherty was a great glove too. I mean, CD played a great first base. We had all the arms in the outfield, Markakis with what he could do. So I had it. You're right. The defense across the field was prime and an A+, and that gives any pitcher and starting pitcher luxury to go out there and compete right away. AL East or not, solo homer or not, so what? That's exactly what Buck would say. So what? It's only one, And then you got the guys like the Darren O'Days and the Tommy Hunters and the Jim Johnsons. Like those guys are going to shut the door. And then even the playoff year with Zach Britton and Andrew Miller, we found those pieces too. So perfectly says, like, I had the uttermost confidence, go out there, pitch my butt off as best I could, get as deep as I can in the ball per game. And again, good things are going to happen because the lineup's so good and the defense so good.
So moving into 2014, I mean, that was just a special year. I mean, especially in Baltimore. I've probably seen only 5 winning seasons since I've been alive in that city. It's been some tough years, but what clicked in that 2014 season for everyone? Because it just seems like the starting pitching was on fire. I mean, it was a solid staff. There were 6 guys with you, Tillman, Gosman, Ubaldo was on that staff.
Wei Chen,
Miguel Gonzalez. When I was going through the stats, I mean, everyone's best years in Baltimore seemed to be that year, and everyone stayed healthy. I mean, everyone had 20+ starts. So that's when you only have 6 starters. That seems like a really great year for everyone staying healthy to able to get through a season and navigate it. And the bullpen was on fire.
Mm-hmm.
We ran into, Manny got hurt. Davis got popped in the playoffs with the Adderall thing, even though he probably had a doctor's note. And I know sometimes the league doesn't care too much.
Yeah.
But what clicked with that group of guys in 2014?
Honestly, the way I see it, especially just from the rotation standpoint, we had a lot of good guys with good quality arms, just not big names. I mean, Ubaldo was the biggest name and had the contract, but we internally pushed each other. And in the best ways, like Tillman pushed me and Gonzalez pushed Tillman and I pushed Gonzalez or Weigh In or Gosman too. We wanted to teach Gosman the right way to do it. And look at how much he's succeeding right now in Toronto. And I think that's a testament to what that, 5, 6, 7 guy rotation was that year. And again, I just think we pushed each other internally within. We wanted to let our actions do the talking. We didn't want, I didn't want to talk too much. And Tillman was a pretty quiet guy, Miggy as well. But we wanted our on-field production to do the talking. And I think once we kind of got the season rolling out a good start, and then the lineup kind of knew that we were going to be consistent, and these guys worked hard in the gym, and they were going to go out there. I think a lot of things clicked in that regard. And then again, to have 5, 6 starters with that many starts, and I think one of the cool stats I saw at the end of the year when we made the playoff runs, all 5 of our starters had ERAs in the 4 or sub 4. And that was the first time that we'd had a rotation like that in the history. And that's what I'm saying. So it's there wasn't a true 1. There wasn't a true 5. We all went out there and had to absolutely do it and bust our butts and work hard at it. And I think just that internal competition, the pulling for each other, the pushing for each other, and just the overall grind was really good between us. And we pushed each other the best way we could.
So I don't know if you're aware of this. You are the last pitcher to pick up a win in the playoffs for the Orioles at Detroit.
I remember it. I remember it well.
Yeah, that was a 2-1 game. I mean, you pitched your butt off in that game, went 6 innings, struck out 6, didn't give up a run.
I mean, I could talk about that game as being my highlight for sure, and I remember it like it was yesterday.
I mean, what were your emotions heading into that game? Because, it was a big game. We came off that Dolman Young, three runs double?
Basically double. No, obviously, that's what we all dreamed for. That was our postseason run. It was a great run. But specifically on that game 3 in Detroit, again, I didn't really get the ball confirmed from Buck until after game 2. When we were making the trip, he's like, "Hey, you got the ball in game 3," and I was ecstatic. My family was going to be there. It was going to be me or Miggy. We were going to go out there, pitch 3 or 4. Again, we didn't care. I was going to go out there whenever my name got called, but to have that opportunity to do it on the road, to quiet the home fans, and to go through such a good lineup. You look at that lineup with Victor Martinez, Miguel Cabrera, JD Martinez, Torrey Hunter, Ian Kinsler. The lineup was stacked. And again, that's not an easy line to get through, and to minimize the damage to that one run was amazing. So again, I got a little insurance. It was a cold day in that ballpark. I remember getting yelled at in the bullpen before the game, but there was always something in me that I did like pitching on the road, because I always liked the opportunity to hush the home crowd. And I like that quiet ballpark. And I knew that I had good control of it doing that ballpark. But again, I remember that game like it was yesterday. I remember truly the night before, I went through the lineup because I knew Nick Hundley was getting the start behind the plate, and we actually just had like a quick 20-30 minute conversation in his hotel room, and kind of went through the lineup one more time. And I do remember specifically that at bat, I think I had like a 10 or 11 pitch at bat against Victor Martinez in like the 4th inning or 5th inning when there was 2 runners on. Like, it was a big spot in a 0-0 game. And Nick, the pitch that I didn't execute a lot was a front door two-seamer to a lefty. It was just a pitch it wasn't my strength, But Nick, I remember going over the lineup that night. He goes, "Hey, in a long at bat, like, would you consider throwing this pitch?" And I was like, "Man, yeah, if I feel comfortable with it and it's the right time." And again, specifically in that scenario, long at bat, and I got to show him something new where he hasn't seen anything else. I'm willing to do it, and that's exactly what I did. He called it, and I committed to it. Front hipped him, and he swung, and it was right at his belt line. So he popped out to center field. Jonesy comes in, catches it in a snow cone. I get out of the inning. I just went, woo! And I just remember that moment. Again, you're setting yourself up. The preparation that we put in, all these things that we put in for the moment to actually happen and transpire that way was just awesome and remarkable. And again, I executed the pitch, got out of a jam, and then we go on to win the game. And like you said, the rest is history.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, it reminds me a lot of that Greg Maddux story where he was like playing the Astros like in August. He said it's the last time we're going to see him, and he like threw a hanging slider on purpose. And he was like, "We're going to see them in the playoffs."
Yeah, I do remember this one. Yeah.
He's like, "I'm going to give him that pitch. Second pitch, he's going to pop up the chipper at third base."
Yeah, exactly.
And I remember Bobby Cox was going to take him out, and he said, "No, I'm going to do this, and it's going to happen." He said, "Chipper."
He got out 2 pitches and chippers under the ball and catches it. Couldn't believe it.
So that's just the crazy stuff. So like as a pitcher in the majors, like, how much preparation does it take? Because you got to prep for the future too when you're seeing teams down the line. Like, you don't want to give everything away, but you also got to pitch to win. So, like, how do you prep for that? As a pitcher?
We could talk about this specific thing for the entire hour, but I mean, as a starter, it's a 5-day rotation. So that's your life. You're living and dying by those 5 days. And what can you do on each specific day to make sure that you're getting enough done and that you feel like you're preparing yourself for the best, your next start? Again, obviously your physical aspects of running and working out in the gym and getting your throwing program in and working on your bullpens and stuff of that nature. And then there's the mental side of it where it's like, hey, what did I learn from my last start? Maybe I can go take 10 minutes and go talk to my catcher and I gave up a 2-run homer on a good slider or bad slider and see what he sees or what he remembered or what pitch selection would he have gone to in that scenario compared to that pitch. So there's always information out there that you're trying to get and to address and to implement. But at the same token, then it's the day of, and now it's the game day. It's like I did all that prep. I got to believe in myself and know that all the hard work I put in is giving me the best odds and statistical odds to go out there and have a good, successful day. That's all it guarantees you. Whether you feel good, work out hard, all those things, that's the only guarantee you get. So the minute that 7:05 comes, that's where your intent, your focus, and everything needs to be. And now I need to do the other thing, which is even harder sometimes, is to compartmentalize. Whether I don't feel good or my dad's in the hospital or, my son broke his arm, whatever the scenario is, you got to compartmentalize it. And I got to go focus on playing a big league baseball game right here, right now. This is the only thing that matters. So the preparation, it never stops. There's, you're a student of the game. I mean, the one way I'd even say to you is like, we're on these long flights across the country and we're still watching baseball tonight. Everybody's got ESPN on and we're seeing the, home runs that go off in the highlights. That's preparation. That's homework for me. Like, again, I know I'm just kind of watching it out of the corner of my eye, but if I see a guy, for me, it was the Eduardo Suarez in Cincinnati. I couldn't get him out. So every time he was on hitting a homer, I'm trying to look at the pitch. I'm looking at the velocity. I'm looking at the location. I'm looking at the count. I'm saying, like, what is this? Like, again, don't do that. Don't make that mistake. How do I steer away from that scenario and kind of try to utilize it to my game? So preparation never stops. I always say you got to be right in 3 pillars. You got to be mentally, emotionally, and physically right. And if one pillar is lacking, then you better go work on it. That's what you need to go work on it. And if not, you got a good system, you got a good routine, you keep going through the routine, you be consistent. I'm sure you've heard Paul Skeens talk about how his warm-up routine is tedious and monotonous, but again, it's what he does and make sure he's primed. That's his routine. And then that's what makes him ready to go so that he gets the best version out of himself every single time he goes out there. So preparation alone, we could talk all day, and that's such a big learning curve. And that's why a vet's a vet and a guy that's in his third year doesn't know like a vet knows, and there's always something to learn. There's no science to starting and pitching in the big leagues.
So kind of going back a little bit to Houston, were the analytics just getting started during your time there, or were they already becoming like a centerpiece on the big league roster?
Great question. Not a lot of people actually like specifically asking me about it from my timeline. And again, I saw it all. I mean, at some point I'm considering just kind of like sitting down and like chronologically going through it because again, the Astros were in the World Series in 05. I'm drafted in 2006 and I'm in the big leagues in 2009. So I got there fairly quick. But when I got there in 2009, we were the oldest team in baseball. So they had no analytics. These guys were going out there doing what they had done forever, like Doug Brocail, Jose Valverde's, Tim Burdak's, Roy Oswald's, Lance Berkman's. You're not putting analytics on those guys. But as we started to see Dre McClain and the sale and the trading of players, Miguel Tejada, Carlos Lees, Berkman got traded at the end. Oswald got traded. So that was what we were talking about at the beginning. When the new management came in, when Jeff Luhnow came over from St. Louis, is really when I got my first taste of the analytics. And I think, unfortunately, for my track record, is I was the guy in the wrong place at the wrong time in the sense that we had a lot of no names. It was a trial and error phase, essentially, that we were going to lose. We lost 100 games 5 years in a row. They weren't putting money into the team. It was like, let's try everything. Let's throw everything out there. So, again, Altuve is a great defenseman, but how much range does he really have? And now we're shifting him one way 10 feet and another way 10 feet. It was a trial and error phase, and I was caught in a little bit of it. So my numbers, in my opinion, got a little bit skewed. But again, as we've seen baseball progress and where we're at today in 2026, analytics are all over the place. And I believe there's a lot of good analytics that we can utilize and take the positives from, but there's also some that's hurting the game in essence too. So back to just mine and what I saw I saw a lot of it, and a lot of it I wasn't keen with, but I couldn't say much. Again, I'm just a worker. I'm not the GM, and I couldn't play that. But it's helped a lot. It's hurt the game. I'm glad that we've gone back where the guy can't cross second base. I think that's also some of the things that we're getting from all the trial and error, that not only that we do in Houston, but what Oakland did as well during those years.
Yeah. So I don't know if you've ever talked to Bill Ripken before, but so when I worked with Ripken baseball for a few years, he was one of the first people I met during my first week. And we chatted for like 5 minutes, and he just said, "Man, these analytics are just killing the game." he's like, all I want to know is, can you hit? Can you get on base? Do you make errors? Yes or no? Can you play defense? And can you throw strikes? He's like, that's all you need to do in order to win a baseball game, if you keep it that simple.
I mean, I love that. And I agree to that to a big degree, because there's a lot of intangibles in baseball that we're getting away from. And that's why there's guys at David Ecksteins. When you look at the Altuves, when you look at those, on paper, they never get a chance, but they're, all-star Hall of Fame type players in the big league. So that's something I do love about it. I hope we get back to more of the field. But again, like, not to go on a tangent, but like WAR, how that is one of the measurements that players go to arbitration with and get deemed their salary on a statistic that's not even a real statistic. Like, again, like, we can't mathematically break it down, but again, we're using this in a player's salary perspective and their worth to a team in a Major League Baseball game and a team. Like, it's wild to me. Again, I think there's a lot of good out there, but again, I think we need to make sure we still keep the human element intact and the feel for players specifically.
Yeah, my favorite arbitration story was Tim Lincecum, because the Giants were going to try to pay him. He just brought his 2 Cy Youngs, and they said, "All right, never mind. We're just going to give you the money," because he brought those to the meeting. He was just like,
"Oh." And again, here's a fun one. I mean, it gives perspective to how it hurts a player and the team relationship. Is that Hunter Pence was my guy in Houston, and he went to arbitration. I think it had to been 2011, and he was an all-star that year. And again, like, they didn't settle, so they went to an actual arbitration hearing, and he went to his. And some agents will say go, some agents will say don't go, but he went to his, and he said it was incredibly hard to sit there and bite your tongue and have your agent and your arbitration team advocate for you and talk about all your good statistics and how well you've done in all-star nods. And then the only thing on the reciprocal is you have the team talking about, he sucks at this, he sucks at this, he sucks at this, he doesn't steal, he doesn't hit bad arm, he's bad defense. It's like they're just sitting there bad-mouthing you, and it's over, again, a couple $1 million. I mean, when Hunter came back, he was, white in the face, and he's like, "Man, I don't ever want to do that again. Like, don't ever go to arbitration. Just find a way to settle, because that's ruthless." And again, it hurt the player-team relationship. And again, when all we do is bleed for the team that drafts you, and then the home that you're at right then and there. So again, like, we hopefully can figure that out in baseball. And again, like I said, the analytics go too far. It can be a good thing, but also can be a very bad thing.
Yeah. So in Baltimore, I know Dan Duquette and Buck were not very analytically heavy. So did it remind you of like that old school Astros team with the old heads a little bit when you got there, where it's like analytics were playing a big part? We know how to play the game. We're going to play good defense. We're going to throw strikes and we're going to score runs. Like,
perfect fit. Exactly what I wanted. We had a veteran team. Like, we didn't have a ton of young guys. Gosman was the youngest guy. Bundy was up and down a couple of times. Obviously Caleb Joseph, but he wasn't really there in he got there in like 15, I think. So like, again, we had a veteran Stone team. Everybody knew what they had to do. Jonesy, I mean, that team was amazing. Obviously, we all got along so well. And again, even Jonesy said to me when I got there in the first couple days, like, you want to be a good teammate? You know, bust your butt every day. Come in here and put your time in the gym, and then cheer for us when we're out there every night. And again, we'll all bust our butt for you too. And it was the perfect environment, antithesis of what I saw in Houston. And that's what obviously I felt so acclimated and excited and knew that Baltimore was going to be a good home for me.
So what was it like playing with Jonesy? I mean, he was the captain at that time for us. I mean, he kind of took the team over in 2010, and I mean, he's Mr. Oriole for us. So like, what was it like playing with Jonesy?
Best. I can't stop talking about Adam Jones. By far one of the best teammates I ever had. His heart is bigger than the living room. I mean, the guy's a teddy bear. He generally cares about every person he comes in contact with. He's someone you can just easily he's a positive force. He's someone that you want to be around, and he's fun. He's energetic. He's throwing pies in people's faces. You name it. Like, that's Jonesy. And again, baseball's hard, and you're not going to win every game. And again, the down days are tough, and you don't want them to take control. We talk about the game being a roller coaster ride. Don't get too high and don't get too low. But Jonesy just kept it above. We were always above water. It always was a positive environment. It was always a little bit glass half full approach. It was just the little things that made going in the ballpark day in and day out a lot of fun, making your hard work not as hard and enjoyable, and doing it for the right reasons and doing it for the team. And again, the environment was everything that I wanted and more for my big league career. And again, like, he was the guy that continued to get it out of everybody. And again, if he was pushing your buttons, that means he cared. And if he wasn't pushing your buttons, then you probably weren't on your way in, and that means you're on your way out. And that's not what you want either. So you better dive in. You better just everybody get along and just continue to row the boat in the right direction.
I remember on TV, it was hilarious when Buck would have Jones on the bench or DH, and he was up Buck's butt like no tomorrow, and Buck was so annoyed.
Yeah,
he was like
put him back out in center field. I can handle it. Yeah.
So later in your career, you shifted to a relief pitcher and a closer. So what was that transition like, going from starter for the first 5-6 years of your career to now the back end of the bullpen?
Man, again, this is something I could talk about for a long, long time. But it was really, really hard for me because of how it happened. When I got drafted, the label and the projections on me was like, this guy's a back end reliever. He's got bulldog mentality. He's got power stuff. So I was labeled that I was always going to go to the bullpen when it was time. So I was okay with that. I believed in it, knew that was always an outlet and a way to finish my career. So I was open to it. But unfortunately, in the 2015 season, I got super sick. I don't remember, Oriole fans really remember this, but I got an internal bug in my stomach out of my control, and I was on the DL for like 7 weeks. Same time Wieters was on the DL for his Tommy John. So I wasn't even in the rotation. I got sick around the middle, Cinco de Mayo in New York, made a spot start, and I was on the DL for like the next 2 months. And I lost 15 pounds in a 3-day period. I was going to a specialist at Johns Hopkins trying to figure out what was going on. So that was really challenging of why it happened. And again, last year, the year before, I'm in the playoffs starting game 2 of the ALCS. So again, like, you went from a real high to a real low, and then where the heck am I kind of scenario. And thank God that, my family took care of me. I did end up getting released from Baltimore, which was very challenging, and ended up signing the offseason, like with the Padres, to finish out that season. So it was a challenging thing, and I ended up pitching a little bit for the Padres actually in the bullpen that year. So I got a trial and error phase of it, and I liked it to a degree, but didn't know that I was making the full transition shift yet. So when I signed, the next year I signed, obviously I signed my first free agent year with the Braves. They had seen that I can do both. They had some young guys in their rotation that they wanted to get called up by May, April, to get some, or May, June, to get some of the young guys some spot starts, as most teams do in that middle time, to get a couple starts and give me a blow. So made 5 starts with Atlanta, then went to the bullpen. So again, here I am in another opportunity. Like, am I going to embrace this, or am I going to get pissed off? Am I going to say yes to this, or am I going to say absolutely not? So I embraced it. I enjoyed it. It's like another little little team down there, because it's like another 7-8 man bullpen, and you guys all spent a lot of time together down there. And then again, at some point when I got traded to the Dodgers, I made some more spot starts. But again, I started to wrap my mind around the fact that, hey, man, this bullpen thing is pretty cool, and those closer positions are pretty cool. It's not easy to get one, but again, if there's an opportunity, don't be shy away from it. Just kind of embrace it. And so it still was a weird transition. It happened over a couple more years. But again, my first real opportunity was in Anaheim, and they had a couple guys go down with Houston Street and Cam Drojan and Andrew Bailey with all the projections in spring training. But 3 guys go down, somebody's got to step up. So I got my taste. So finally, closing was something I truly enjoyed. Closing was something I wish I could have done for another 5, 6, 7 years, because it takes a special skill set, not only pitching skill set, but mental skill set and physical skill set. And to be able to go out there and pitch 5 out of 6 days, or to be able to go out of 4 out of 6, that's challenging. That's a whole different kind of challenging, not only pitch ability, but like mentally, physically, and all that part of it. So again, I was labeled as going to be a back-end bullpen guy. I wanted to be a starter as long as I could. Again, the changeup, if I could have ever figured out that changeup, would have held on to that job a little bit longer. But again, I'm glad that I was positive in the sense when the opportunity came to embrace it as best I could and go learn it, because again, it's a different caveat to the pitching, in the big leagues kind of thing. And again, closing, even that last year in St. Louis, I loved it. I had 28 saves and 32 tries, and that's a great success rate. That's not an easy job to do. The last 3 outs in baseball are by far the hardest, and it doesn't matter where you are in the lineup. And the real baseball minds and the real baseball people know that, and that's why they're deemed a closer and there's deemed an 8th inning guy. It's a different beast.
Awesome. That is one of my favorite immaculate grid answers, is you with the Orioles and Cardinals. Not a lot of people get that.
You got to remember Padres too, because
and the Padres, Padres, Braves, Astros, Dodgers.
That's the one I was like 6 weeks. I got 7 teams. I touched a few.
So I don't know. So Mike Elias was the assistant GM, I think, when your time in Houston. Yeah. So how well did you know Mike Elias, and how big was he with implementing some of the stuff you had to do down there?
I know Mike. I love Mike. Mike's great. I think, again, think very, very highly of him. But yeah, he came over with that Lunow group. So he was somewhat on that baseball analytical mindset. And again, that was a trial and error phase. I'm sure those guys, him and not Stearns, David Stearns, like those GM types, they learned so much in that period of time. And again, now they're implementing it to their own teams, and I think it's paying off dividends because they know how to break down players a little bit more. So yeah, I knew Mike. We didn't have not a everyday interaction relationship per se, but I knew he was a great guy, and he's doing obviously amazing things now. And again, I do love seeing some of these younger general managers come in because they have a young feel for these young guys. But again, it's not losing too much of the old school feel and implementing the right feel for the young game and what it is today. And Mike's solid, and again, he's doing a great job.
Awesome. All right, so last question here: favorite funny story or time in memory in Baltimore?
Man, I will say, obviously all the games every Thursday night, but I'll say this one. One of the biggest touching moments that I'll never forget is after the playoff win. We flew home the next day, and when we showed up at the stadium and there was thousands of people outside the stadium on an off day to say, hey, welcome home. That's Baltimore. That's the blue collar system, the town, the people, and just who they are, and that braid. And again, that touches your heart. That makes you go out there and leave it on a field for a city like that every single day. And so I'll never forget that. I was just absolutely dumbfounded and heartwarmed by the sense that these people are going to show up at 3:00 on a random Thursday when we're not even having a game to cheer us on and have signs when we come home. This is what it's all about. That's community. That's fan base. That's what it's all about. And so that one specifically I remember. And even the other one I loved was when we do Fan Fest. That was always one of my favorite things. I got to come in, I think, for the 2014 or 2015 season. We did it, and we did it at the convention center right next to the ballpark right there. And the line's down the street. We're talking thousands of people coming out in March or February, whenever it was, in the middle of the snow to come see 10 minutes with us, do a Q&A for 10 minutes, get a picture, get an autograph. Like, that's what I remember about Baltimore. That's what I loved about the city and the community. And again, it was easy to go out there and play. I mean, I played hard wherever I went. I know a lot of guys do, but again, when you have that extra feel and you get it day in and day out, it makes it representing the group on your front a whole lot easier than worrying about yourself.
Awesome. Hear that, Orioles? Fan Fest. Bring it back. Seriously.
That's right. Bring it back.
Bring it back. I mean, we've been missing it for over 6 years now. Come on.
Bring it back.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you taking the time. It's been great chatting with you.
Taylor, I appreciate it. Thank you. Again, sorry for my end of this, but
Hey,
I'm always here. Would love to do it again. Always root for the Orioles. Obviously, some stuff, tough division. Every year is a tough division, but stay faithful to the O's and fly high O's.